It's been 6 months since I first started making these functional blocks. This is a quick showcase of each block. So starting with the first build, turning it on, you can see that it's in nighttime mode. If it detects darkness, then the light will turn on, but if it's bright, the light will be off. This build was also the first to get a revised version. Soon I'll do another revised version in order for it to work with the modular block system. So next up was the piston build. The first build was powered externally and would only go less than half the distance. Being the second build, the piston was coincidentally the second to be redesigned. Now being able to push a full block, also allowing one servo to be used in order to power 2 of them. The only downside being this extra block in the back. Next were the Lithofan light blocks. Here's a smooth version where the design only shows up when it's being powered. After the light blocks was the observer. Here a red LED is hooked up to the output, and so every time it updates, it'll flash the LED. The addition of the observer allowed for contraptions to be made. Next I worked on some prototypes for redstone, and so here I used copper foil tape in order to make a circuit. Here I have a prototype pressure plate which just has copper foil tape, and pressing down will connect this circuit here. I also created a lever as well as the button. The lever and the button were later redesigned in order to make a full component. The redstone was later designed with resin in order to get it as flush as possible with the modular system. So here's a TNT when it gets powered. We'll do a little jump, flash, and then pop. This build needs a new redesign where it can work with the modular system, but also the way it explodes needs to be improved. Next up was the dispenser, along with my first 1/10 scale. So pressing the side button will dispense whatever's inside. I plan on doing a few redesigns, one design for dispensing liquids and another one for actually shooting out the objects. Next up are these chests. I was able to create a hidden hinge. So on the left side is one of the earlier ones where you can see there's slots for the hinges, and on the right is the ender chest. I figured out how to cover the holes. Here are the inside hinges, and so it just goes into the slots when closing, and it also has a hidden compartment for the ender chest. So right in there you can see a couple of coins. You can just close it all up and hide it. Next up was the jukebox as well as the note block. During this build, I decided to make a battery box that'll hold 3 AAA batteries in order to power each build. I was able to get it to fit within the blocks itself. The speaker I used in this build though was too big, and so it couldn't fit inside. Instead, I put it on the side. Pressing the left button will play the note. Pressing the right button will change the note. I plan on doing a redesign where the MP3 module itself is contained in a different block. So what the note block itself will have is just a speaker, and it will be receiving signals from the block under. The note block also doubles as a jukebox, since depending on what SD file you put in will determine what plays. And so if we advance a couple more notes, the last file I have on the SD card is cat. And just like in the game, taking this out will stop. Holding both buttons down will lower the volume. Holding down the next will raise the volume. Finally, you can launch the SD card. Now after the note block, I decided to make a modular system in order to make it easier to connect each block together. Here I'm using the modified button and the modified lever. The lever needs to be improved since the contacts aren't all that great, and the button needs to have an inverted signal in order to turn off the torch. The modular system uses pins in order to connect everything together. There's interchangeable tops, as well as allow for different components to be put in, but most importantly being able to have battery sources outside the projects to make everything easier. One oversight I made when I initially made this system is that I had these pins horizontally. This means that there's no one uniform way of everything snapping together. I plan on making another system called Universal and that way it'll have these pins vertical instead of horizontal, meaning that the ground can always be at the bottom while the power is on top here. This will also provide a mechanical reverse polarity protection on the battery. And so finally comes the repeater. The repeater is so far the smartest circuit. When hooking up power and sending a signal, you can see there's a delay and a delay to turn off. Moving it forward will reduce the delay, and moving it back will increase the delay. If power is sent to the side, then it will lock the repeater. This means that if it gets locked while in the on state, it will continuously turn on, stay powered, and when it's no longer locked, it will do a delay before turning off. So now for a couple of projects that I've worked on but haven't completed. Started working on a beacon. The way I plan on making the beacon is to use lenses to focus an LED into a beam. There's also this stone cutter, which flipping it the other way will turn it on. It begins to spin, just using a small DC motor. The issue is that there's not enough torque for it to actually cut, like a piece of paper for instance. I wanted to increase the torque by using gear reduction. The furnaces are just supposed to be light sources that flicker. I plan on using a transistor in order to make it flicker, but I still haven't made the other two furnaces. So that's pretty much it. If you guys have any questions, please let me know, and thank you for watching.